Hello everyone, Assalamu alaikum, peace be upon you. So today I'm gonna show you a project that I have created using a Redux Persist. So the first thing we would like to do is to run the project by running npm run dev, and then we hit enter. We wait for the project to start, and I think it's ready now. Now hit here refresh, and then we can see here a title that says persisted, a title that says not persisted, and a text input. So this text input should be persisted A B C D E F G, and this will not be persisted A B C D E F G. So here we have written the same text here and here, but it looks like there is no difference. This uses Redux and this also uses Redux. So what is the difference? The difference is this uses Redux Persist and this doesn't. The difference will appear when we hit refresh. When we refresh the screen, the persisted data persisted and the persistent data did not persist. Also, I would like to show you here that there is a loading text. Let me hit here refresh several times. There is a loading text, as you can see here. I'm hitting refresh. So the loading text is when we are loading, as we can see here in page. In page, yes, it says when loading the persist gate, when we are loading, it should display a text that says loading. Also it will, if we open a new tab, as we can see here, the persisted data has persisted from the new tab, but the non-persistent data did not persist. Only the data that uses Redux Persist persisted, and the data that doesn't use Redux Persist did not persist. So this was a walkthrough, and now why is that important? There are some data that you really need to persist, and this data can be, for example, the theme, whether it's light or dark. So the application will not work if unless this data is loaded. And if it was not loaded, there will be a default value. If it was not even stored, there will be a default value. And there are some data that this application really needs in order to run. And this data can be, for example, the theme, the authentication token, the language, other data that the application really needs, and the application really cannot work without this data. So and this data has to be persistent. Before I used the Redux Persist as a React Native developer, I used to store data manually using async storage and upload, and at splash screen I used to refetch all this stored data. Now let's look at the code of how all of this works. So this is the Redux Persist documentation. So first thing we would like to do is that we would like to create the store and the persistor. So as we can see here at the Redux index, here is the store, here is the root reducer. It has text input 1. Text input 1 is the persisted. This is text input 1. So, this is text input 1 and this is text input 2. This is persisted and this is not persisted. So both of them are blacklisted. Using in the persist configuration, both of them are blacklisted. Why is this blacklisted text input? Because it's inside the slice. I am not gonna persist from the root reducer. I'm gonna persist it from inside the slice. So I will not persist it twice. I will only persist the data from inside the slice, because I might add some configuration. For example, this migration that I have created, and this is not persisted. So when we look at the slice, it doesn't have any persist. It's just the initial state, which is the default state, no persistence, but this is persisted. So we have created the persisted reducer, we have created the store, as we can see here. We have created the store, and we have created the persistor, which is here. And then we go to the next step, which is surround the application with the provider and the persist gate. Surround the application with the provider and the persist gate. So this is the provider, and this is the persist gate, and here we have a default value for loading when in case of loading. So this is the text of loading, as we can see here. Loading, this is, I'm hitting refresh several times. If this data is not loaded, it will display this loading message. And here we have text input gets this data using use selector from from Redux, text input 2 from Redux also, and here we have the update which dispatches to change the text input 1, and this also dispatches to text input 2. And here we have this component called the text input component. You can find the code on my GitHub profile and in the description. The component which is called the text input container is this and this. So this is an instance of the component. This is also an instance. So that was it about the project. You can find the source code on my GitHub profile, and you can find the link to the GitHub repository in the description. Thank you so much, and I will see you next time. Assalamu alaikum.